Then we watched as they pulled free of the S-4B and got our first live color pictures of the blue planet Earth.
Charlie, this is it's so hard to describe. You can go right up past Alaska and you can see the polar caps. It's incredible.
Well, we see it all here, Gene. Its colors are really beautiful.
That's great. And the blackest black that you ever could conceive is the setting for all this.
Right.
So Stafford, Young, and Cernan began their coast away from Earth, their speed continually dropping as the arms of Earth's gravity tried to pull them back.
Well, it's like a boat. Anyway, watch. As ships sail away, they don't disappear all at once. No, first, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. Now, ships came back. They didn't fall off a table. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science.
Hello.
This is so cool, isn't it? Hey, Katie, I want
Welcome
to ask
aboard
you a
the space
question.
station.
This is Leah. Look at this. Wow. Are you going to be okay, or? And then, what is your average work day? Is it like a real 8-hour day, or? And then what do you guys do? You sit around looking out the windows, or what do you guys do? This is what I want to.
Every day, actually, the day begins the night before because I look at the schedule, see what I'm going to do, and I study up, and just try to understand what experiments I'm going to do. And I can actually show you one of is a bag of water, okay? And I'm squeezing. Closer, and you can see this giant blob of water, and we're getting to see in space what do liquids really, really want to do.
Wow. That is amazing.
Wow! Incredible!
This or that. Oi, bend! Did you see? Look, bend. He kick it with his heels. Bend. Bend. It's not a trick of the light, it bend. Bend. It's a bend. It's a bending. Look. Oh, this is really, really.
Baby. Go.
17 Houston, you are go for orbit. Go for orbit. Go for the moon.
Absolutely spectacular looking at that command module America down there coming across the surface. We're just tracking them at about a 30-degree dive angle.
Challenger Houston, you're go for PDI.
Oh, thank you.
Well, if we got them where we think we do, then that could be these boulders.
Now here's the shadow, right? See the shadow coming right down? The sun is up here. It's coming into the...
Oh, you won't believe it.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. There's all kinds of targets to go to, places of interest in our solar system. The only limit to human future is in our own imagination.
Goes a fender. I caught it with my hammer and it just popped right off.
Okay, was it the rear fender, Gino?
Yeah, and I'm just going to put a couple pieces of good old-fashioned American gray tape on it. American gray tape on it. American gray tape on it. Except the old-fashioned American gray tape doesn't stick to lunar dust-covered fenders.
Why has nobody been to the moon in such a long time?
That's not an 8-year-old's question. That's my question. I want to know, but I think I know. Because we didn't go there, and we didn't go there, and because we didn't go there, and that's the way it happened. And if it didn't happen, it's nice to know why it didn't happen, so in the future, if we want to keep doing something, we need to know why something stopped in the past that we wanted to keep it going.
Billions, billions, trillions, trillion, million, 400 billion suns. Billion, trillion, billion, trillions of orbiting snowballs.
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly. And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. But we didn't really test any of those materials for, is it space hardened or whatever, So it just has the same seats that like a normal car has. It's just literally a normal car in space. You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
And I didn't feel like opening up into a full-up debate. You'd never see me debate anybody on any subject ever. You'd never see me debate anybody on any subject ever.
So it's not actually a sphere. It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. But not only that.
Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. You lying so much.
It's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped. Yeah. Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
Yeah. Stop fucking lying.
The Earth isn't flat. And by the way, this is called gravity. You'd never see me debate anybody on any subject ever. And I didn't feel like opening up into a full-up debate. You'd never see me debate anybody on any subject ever.
A lot to get into, but do you find that over the last few years that this whole, I guess, theory to some, reality to you, has kind of hit in the mainstream in a lot of ways?
Most people just believe what they were told since kindergarten. You live on this globe, and they show you that, and there's no proof of it whatsoever. I'm with you and all of your listeners. It sounds insane. But that's just because we've been indoctrinated into believing the utter nonsense of the globe. Because we've been indoctrinated into believing the utter nonsense of the globe. That's just because we've been indoctrinated into believing the utter nonsense of the globe.
Like something like the moon landing. I don't believe that it really happened the way that they say it did.
We're trusting human beings. We want to trust what authority tells us. We want to trust people. It's our nature. But we've been lied on such a level that even people that are awake have a hard time dealing with it. Speaking with another prominent researcher, she said, you know, for all I know, with all this deception, we could be living on a flat earth. And I was like, what? And that's when I started to dig in. I said, I'm just going to debunk this, make this go away. And if you truly look into what you believe about the globe, you will find out that it is nonsense.
What kind of brought you to that? Because you're talking about how we grew up this way. And of course, we've been told our whole lives that the earth is round, and you've seen the pictures of it from space and all that sort of thing. So what kind of led you to believe that what these people were telling you was completely the truth?
I tried to, for quite a while, tried to disprove it. I was trying to get this out of even a subject to talk about because it's ridiculous. But as you look into it, everything, you know, there's three categories that things can fall into. Works on a ball earth, works on a flat earth, or it could work on both. And there's many examples. But what you will find is nothing falls into the only works on a ball earth basket.
Straight physics here on Earth, and it's a track and a ball. Just show us what actually happens there. And gravity's really just pulling that ball back down. Now, Tim has actually done the same experiment. We've got the video of you demonstrating what happens when you're in microgravity with exactly the same kit. We don't seem to have a video, unfortunately, but the ball did have a video, unfortunately, but the ball can...
And obviously he can't do the experiment right in front of him because you're faking this. Watch his hand. That's impossible.
I definitely haven't mastered it. I'll give you a try and I'll show you just how bad it is. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
2.3 trillion with a T.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
2.3 trillion with a T. Ends.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in
because I'd been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger.
And then Syria.
We had a chance to talk about a wide range of international issues, including the situation in Syria. And I have to say that all of us who've been seeing the terrible pictures coming out of Syria and Homs recently recognize it is absolutely imperative for the international community to rally and send a clear message to President Assad that it is time for a transition, it is time for that regime to move on, and it is time to stop the killing of Syrian citizens by their own government.
Lebanon.
They both had different reasons, the State Department and the White House, for wanting Israel to do it, encouraging them to do it, supporting them.